What? Let me see. Now it's working. No voice. So let's see. Sometimes the OBS change its settings by its own. I don't know why. Now it's working. Let me know. Now the music is good. It should work. I'm watching here my sound bar. It's working. So please, if anyone can put a message. Okay, Sandor, thank you. So sometimes when I use the OBS from month to month, I was saying that I used to stream once a month, only one time, and I don't know why the OBS changes the settings for any reason, because I just, when I end the streaming, I just close it and that's it. But for any reason, and the next time I launch it, some of the settings have changed. I don't know why, but okay, something like I was saying that you can listen my voice good enough. I mean, I am putting a background music. Let me know if the music is too loud or it's not too loud. I like to hear the music in the background, but not over my voice. So it looks like everything is working. So I'm very happy because we are a lot of people here watching the stream. I was making my presentation at the end of the streaming without sound. I'm sorry about it. Yeah, OBS is fun. Yeah. And I was saying that like every month, like every single month, my name is Nacho Riesco, and here I am with sculpting jewelry designs with ZBrush. So this is the design we were making. We were starting 2 streamings ago. This this is a snake and flowers brooch. This is for celebrating the wooden snake year based on the Chinese calendar, and this is what we get so far. So I was making some progress in my free time. If you have any question about what you are watching on the screen, if you have any doubts about how to make something specific, today we're going to work mainly on the body of the snake, putting the stones, different stone sizes on the back of the snake. But probably I will start working on the branch. You can see now the branch already has a texture on it. You can see here the texture. I was making the texture. Let me see if I have subdivision level right. So now we can watch it with a better resolution. Let me make this window a little bit smaller. Let's put this here just for watching good reference. And I was saying at the beginning of the streaming, again without sound, that I will try to pay as more attention as possible to the chat, just for answering your possible question that you are having during the streaming. So if you have any question or comments about what I'm doing, just let me know. I will try to be here paying as more attention as possible. And okay, let's see if okay, looks like it works. Okay, it looks like everything is working fine now. Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead. Let me tweak my camera a little bit. Let's start working. Put my OBS messages. No, all of the comments comes from YouTube. I don't know if Twitch is working or not. Let me check it. If I open my ZBrush Live web page. Okay, looks like Twitch is also working. Okay, perfect. Okay, as part of my initial presentation, I will give you you have here. Let me put this mode always on top not. Let me put this on the side. You can take note of my link tree, because Nacho Riesco, you can read it here on the bottom of my camera, where you have access to all of my links, when you can have, even here you have this link which guide you to a package of KeyShot 9 silver material for free, and you have access to my website, to my Arstation, to my YouTube channel, my Instagram, all of my social media links. So if any of you is interested of following me or interested of my job, so just click on my link tree, and here we have the collection of all of my links or my personal and professional websites. Okay, perfect. Let's put this here. So finishing the presentations, let's start working. So I made this texture. Let's see, everything is working. Okay, the Wacom is working. Let me see if I go to my surface noise. You can see here, if I turn on my surface, you can see a subtle thing happens. Let me turn it on, turn it off. You can see here the difference. If we get into the surface noise, I was using probably many of you already know this, but I turn this on. You can click to edit, and you can see here the wood option. It is very handy and very useful, and you can achieve very cool wood or wavy surface for many different textures. And this is the option that I used for creating this kind of wooden effect. Or if we go from white to black, you can see here the differences. You can see here. And also previously I was making, let me see, because I was doing this time ago, maybe a month or so, if I don't remember some things very well. You go to the UV and you click on more UVs. You can see now the branch already has a UV mapping. You know how to do this, so go into the UV master, making your UVs, and then you are able to apply any texture or grab any texture on your mesh. And for this is very handy. This is a you have a very cool random wood texture, as I was saying before. If I could, so just for let's go to surface noise, just for giving it. This is the surface noise gives you this such of clean and well-defined texture. But if we want to make a more random strokes or random texture, or even more organical or realistic texture, of course, thinking about the size of this is going to be very small, so we don't have to be too much worried about the details when we are working on the screen with when it is this big, because the real object is going to be much more smaller. Most of the time when we are making a product which needs to be manufactured, printed, casted, and so on, like a jewelry piece, we are making tiny and endless amount of material on the surface, but we are going to that surface, that texture that we are creating is not going to be possible for being casted, or after the polishing we are going to lose a lot of work. So we try to find a good balance between the sculpting work we are doing on the mesh and the real texture or the real detail we are getting after all of the process involved on a jewelry manufacturing process. So, but anyway, we can, as I was trying to tell you, if I grab, for example, let's grab the clay brush, we can enhance, or we can improve a little bit this texture a little bit, not too much, as I was saying before, just giving some loose strokes here and there, just for getting this kind of random. You can see here mostly on the areas which are going to be visible, because other areas are going to be hidden by the flowers or by the snake, or are going to be in the back of the design, so we don't have to be too much worried about the parts of the design which are not going to be visible. Or we should be worried about all of the views, but just for saving time, or not being here making too much time making the same thing, because I always try to give you interesting streamings. I mean, when I always try to cover as more processes or as more topics as possible. So for example, we can create this kind of texture, we can adjust last to enhance, to apply more strength to this stroke, for example. Another part of the process, we should be worried about the assembling, the needing of assembling. That means that the flowers are going to be printed and casted as separated pieces. That means that we should start thinking about how we are going to assembling, or mainly how are we going to soldering the flowers to the branch. You can see here the branch is touching the flower. That is not possible. We should have a little space between each other, like this, and something like this, and something like this. And let me see, let me improve the surface when the branch meets the back of the flower, something like this. Let me improve this. Maybe we make this part thicker. We're gonna have more success. And maybe it's not going to be necessary to keep the stones visible. You can see I have organized everything with folders. We have the branch, we have the flowers, everything, all the stuff related to the flowers. It's in the side of the same, inside of the same folder. The stones are here. If I turn this off like this, you can see that maybe we can solder, we can apply the soldering point from this view, or we should think it's going to be better to apply the soldering point on the back, considering that here we're going to have a stone. This is what we have. We have this simple basket for the stone setting, like this. Maybe it's going to be better to decide to apply the soldering point on the back, so it's going to be much easier to hide the imperfection, the possible imperfection during the soldering, and it's going to be easier to apply. So that means that maybe if we apply, let me grab this. One comment here, Patrick Lee, hello Nathan, thanks to you for being here watching the streaming. I would like to ask you, when you work on a scale, the Dynamesh utility doesn't work well. Do you have a way, what kind of issues are you having with the Dynamesh utility? I guess you are referring to this plugin. Where am I? Dynamesh utility plugin. Are you referring to when you are making a shell? That means that you are making one object hollow inside. You are talking about the wall thickness, or you are talking about in general with the scale problems that you are having with the Dynamesh? When you work on a scale, the Dynamesh utility doesn't work well. Why the Dynamesh utility is not working for you well? Because based on my experience, I haven't got many issues about the scaling with the Dynamesh utility. I know when ZBrush is making the necessary calculation for transforming one mesh into a Dynamesh, sometimes happens stranger things with the scale, but not very often. Probably depending on the scale of your object. Not the scale, when you change the dimension. When you choose, for example, let's see, let me try to replicate, let me save this. It's gonna be this ZBrush number 4. The plugin doesn't work. The plugin doesn't work when you, maybe are you talking about the poly count or the Dynamesh resolution, or are you talking about the scale in terms of units of measurement, millimeters, centimeters, or whatever? Because I have noticed lately, probably on the latest, or maybe not the latest, but the version before the latest version, I have been having some problem with the Dynamesh utility, with the Dynamesh resolution. I don't know why. Do they have the scale to 100 times to get a good Dynamesh? Yeah, I think I'm knowing now what you are referring to. I'm having the same problem, not with the scale. I'm having the problem with the poly count. For example, if I am sculpting something and I decide that I want a new Dynamesh of 2 millions, clicking the Dynamesh resolution, most of the time it works, but sometimes instead of giving to me the requested amount of polygons, in this case 2 million, it's giving to be less polygons, and in consequence a worst surface quality. I have noticed that the Dynamesh utility is not working very well with probably with the two latest version. Maybe we are currently working on the 2025 version. Probably I was having that issue with the 2024 version as well, but not with the scale. But with the 2022, as far as I remember, I was not having that problem. Yeah, but I mean that lately the Dynamesh utility is not so accurate as before. Probably the plugin has not been updated very well based on the new additions of the latest versions. From the 2022, you are having problems with the 2022 version, but I was noticing this problem probably since the 2024 version, not since your version, but sometimes it happens, but I don't know what. Yeah, when you change the scale, but when you change the scale, you're saying, for example, you have an object and are you making it bigger or smaller? And when you are having the problem, when you are making things bigger or smaller, because it's very important. For example, if you are setting one Dynamesh for a 10 centimeter tall object, that resolution works for that object. If you change the size of the object, I mean, you go from 10 centimeters to 5 centimeter, everything changes with the Dynamesh. You should go again to the Dynamesh utility, tells to the Dynamesh utility you are looking for this amount of polygon, and click the Dynamesh utility button again, because it's going to be necessary to recalculate again the new resolution for the new object size. I hope I am explaining me well. Yeah, you are making things smaller. Yeah, you are going to have that problem most of the time when you're making things smaller. For example, you are working with an object. I'm going to try to replicate something. For example, if I grab the tool, I go tool, let's grab the demo head, this one, right? And we can convert it into Dynamesh. For example, we are looking for 1 million. So let's click the Dynamesh utility. So you can see now it's worked perfect. I am saying I was requesting 1 million and ZBrush is giving to me exactly 1 million. So I am making, let's see, let's make 2 horns. So for example, if we start sculpting something like this, and then we make it smaller, and we recalculate the Dynamesh, you can see what happens. We went from here, so everything is working fine. We're able to sculpt very fine detail on the surface because we are having enough resolution on our mesh, so you can sculpt things like this. But at some point we decide to recalculate the Dynamesh, control drag. So this is what happens. It's because we have made the object smaller than before. If you are looking for the same resolution on your mesh, but with the new size, you should come back again to the Dynamesh utility and tells to the Dynamesh utility, get me the new resolution for this new object size. So we click on Dynamesh. So let me show you something. We come back here. So we go to Dynamesh. Here you can see I'm working with a 867 resolution. If I go now, it is a little bit smaller than before. I prefer to turn off the blur because I don't want to smooth the surface, and turn this off. If I am still looking for 1 million, clicking on the Dynamesh button, you can see here now it looks as before. No, nothing changes, so I like it. So but if I come back to the Dynamesh resolution number, you can see we went from 867 and now we are working 3118 resolution. You can see if you change your object size, you should change your Dynamesh resolution, and the way to decide the right or the exact resolution number is coming back to the Dynamesh utility and clicking the Dynamesh button again, utility. I hope I have been helpful for you, or useful. So when we are working with Dynamesh, we are working with 3 numbers. We are working with the scale. We are working with the scale. We are working with the object size, and we are working with the resolution. We change one, or in this case, the scale. The other 2 have been affected by the new change. So they should be updated to the new number. And that's the reason why I like to use Dynamesh utility instead of the default Dynamesh resolution button, because Dynamesh utility makes the necessary calculations to give me the proper the right amount of polygons, and in consequence the right surface quality. Okay, that's it. So that I always say that when I'm explaining Dynamesh is like you are working with a triangle. When you have the size, you have the resolution, and you have the polygons here. You have size, resolution, and poly count and polygons. If you change one of them, the other one are being affected by the new number. So if you change the size, you need to know which is the right resolution for your new size. And it's difficult to find the right number. You should go making trial and error. So testing till you are finding the right resolution, or going to the Dynamesh utility, tells to the Dynamesh utility the amount of polygon they are looking for, then click your Dynamesh utility button, and that you will get this number. And in consequence, if you are getting a new resolution, you will get a new poly count, of course. So all of 3 are connected. Yeah, working with Dynamesh is a bit tricky sometimes. Most of the time when you are looking for details, or when you want to keep the details you have been sculpting during the sculpting process. Working with Dynamesh, when you are just blocking forms, when you are sketching forms, you are not worried about details, so everything works smooth. But when you start working with details, and you want to preserve the details you are sculpting during the different Dynamesh calculations, things becomes a little bit more tricky. And in that case, the object size is the key. Most of the time, the size, talking about Dynamesh, is the key. So let me put here a wire. You know that you already know this plugin. I have been using it very often. This is a plugin that I love, the IMM Draw Size. I'm going to use the IMM primitives with the cylinder, because I'm going to use a wire of 1 millimeter. I click 1 millimeter, click here, and at any time when I start growing my insert mesh, if at any time I press the Ctrl key, so I am blocking the size to the measurement I have set before. In this case, I'm making a 1 millimeter wire. In this case, let me make it bigger. Let me put a 1.5 millimeter. Yep, pop. 1.5 millimeter. Let's try to put it in the center. That's a split mask point. The reason why I'm watching it this way is because my dynamic subdivision is active. If I turn this off, everything looks good. So I'm trying to, where is it? So it's here. I should be put it here. And this is should be a little bit longer. Something like this. Yeah, maybe 1.5 is too much. Let's get rid of this one. Maybe it's too much. Let's go to 1.2 millimeter. 1.2 millimeter. Let's make it longer. It's because we are looking for to make a male and female connections just for assembling the flower into the branch and then applying a soldering point from the back of the branch. Just that's the reason why I'm just thinking about this. Could be the proper way of assembling this. Maybe probably the surface is not going to be enough because the space that we have here, we go to the scale master, because I didn't say to ZBrush yet in which units I'm working. So the first step to take before start working on anything, set this in a scale. We are working in millimeter. So now I'm able to start taking measurements with my transpose line. So if we place a hole here in the middle of the branch, here we are having a wall thickness from the mostly from the end of the contour of the hole till the end of the branch of 0.5 millimeter, half of a millimeter. This is a very thin space. Here even we have less, 0.3 millimeter. I'm reading the quantity here on my top left corner, almost we can say 0.4 millimeter. So this is very thin. So we can make this thing a little bit bigger, and then we can get a better, just for having a good connection. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a duplicate of this subtool. I'm going to put it inside of the branches folder here, like this, and I'm going to, let me see if I can isolate this part, okay, from this part, and I'm going to making it bigger. The other, let me hide this, but put the gizmo here, and let's make it bigger this way, because it's gonna be necessary to apply. This is we are having a flat surface for a better connection, something like this. So now we can be working on the branch, maybe a thicker ending here, just for making it a stronger union or connection between the branch and the flower. I'm gonna make you just one example this, as I was saying before, just for giving to you or trying to give you as more information as possible during the streaming. So the goal of the idea of the streamings is I'm gonna split is the streamings is just showing to you my way of working, and I hope I'm giving to you at the same time good information about the processes. This is the brand. Why I am not subtracting this? Oh yeah, and now I'm subtracting because now you can see, you know that when you're making connection between a male and female, you need a little gap surrounding the male, just for getting a good connection between, a good assembling. And also this, I'm gonna make it bigger, I'm gonna make it longer. Yeah, something like this. And if we come back here to the branch, maybe the ending of the branch, maybe we can grab the H polish. Thanks, Patrick. Glad to have been useful for you. I will need to replicate what I'm doing here on the other branch, but I'm not gonna make it today. I'm just showing to you the process. I will work in my personal time just for finishing this. So this is going to be Maybe I need to make this a little bit bigger. Whoop, not that much. Like this. Okay, something like this. And then let's try to make a good connection. Something like this. Maybe we can apply a little bit of texture here. It's not going to be very important because this, as I was saying before, it's gonna be a tiny, very tiny surface. But okay. Okay, this is going to be the assembling system for the flower. So I will need to make a replica exactly on the other one. So if I need to check here, we are having a good amount of mass of material here of metal. After casting, if we start taking measurements, we have an amount of thickness, or from this point to this point, of 1.6 millimeter. I think maybe it's very thin. Maybe it's to having a safer, a stronger soldering point, or let's make it thicker like this. From point to now we are having 2 millimeter. Sounds better. Yeah, and we grab this brush, trim dynamic. Maybe we can try to give it more organic finishing here, like this, and it should work in terms of assembling like this. Okay, now let's go. Also here it's a good idea if we here you can see I'm having different polygroups. I'm gonna select this one. I'm going to invert the mask, sending here. No, I'm only looking for to grab this one, so we can make it longer and make it thinner. So just for having a better insertion with a thinner head or thinner ending. So okay, like this. Okay, let me save this. It feels so good. DKCN, so hard to pronounce your name, mate. So welcome. So let's jump into the stone setting. Okay, I forgot to mention, for example, if let's close this. For example, if we go, we can hide the flowers. You can see how it looks, the assembling part. And maybe we can fix this like this. And for the basket, let me hide the snake. Let me hide. Let's hide the needle, and let's hide the branch and this flower. You can see I was doing this. This is a very simple basket, but this is maybe an artistical or not regular way of making a basket for a stone, but because we were trying to at the same time we are creating the prongs or the arms which are holding the stone. We can apply 4 more to give into this kind of more flower part looking to this, so giving to it a more designing value to this part of the. So once we have this, we can just send it to the center, relocating. So this is what we get. So if we go to the flowers like this, so this is the, where am I? This is the enamel part. The enamel is just for, okay, what I did like this. I'm looking for this. Now this one should be visible. This one should be visible. This one should be. Oh no. Oh, this. Yeah. I have lost the. You can see this is going to be the casted piece. This is gonna be one of the casted piece. You can see here the kind of the nerves on the flower, and here you can see we have a gap, or we have a cavity, which is going to be necessary to apply the enamel or the paint. We are talking about enamel. It's a very traditional way of apply color to a jewelry piece. I made just this part just for rendering purposes, just for when we want to make a render, because you can see the enamel will cover completely the gap, the cavity. So the cavity should be enough just for applying a little drops of enamel till covering the central part of each petal till having something like this. So this is going to be metal. What you are watching now in clay. If we go, for example, I think I will cast this, I don't know, maybe in gold, or you can see this is going to be gold, for example, this material, and the white is going to be paint or enamel. So that's the reason why it has this kind of glazed or white cover inside of the covering inside of each petal. Let's come back to the clay material. Let's start working on the snake. Just for applying or giving color touches to the design. So let's go to the snake. This is the snake. We can go to the snake folder and let's hide this, and let's start working on the stone setting for the snake. We already have the stones on the eyes. I think we were making this on the previous streaming. Let me find it. It should be this one. This should be negative. This we will place two stones on the eyes, and maybe probably the prongs should be a little bit not so inside of the surface. Maybe from the top view it's not going to be very nice, because once we apply the stone we can drill and we can grind. I don't know how to say it. We can remove a small amount of material just for avoid to watch this prongs from the front. Again, we are talking about tiny little objects. Probably we are worried about something which is going to be almost invisible on the real object, but anyway, maybe we can make the eyebrows a little bit more pronounced just for covering the prongs from the front view. Maybe we can apply something like this, maybe gonna be better. So now it looks better. Okay, no comments, no questions. Let me review the chat. Okay, everybody's quiet and paying attention. No problem. Okay, let's here we have one snake. You can see here we are having 2,265. So, and that means that the mass density is very high. And here we have another snake, which is we were using on previous steps. This is going to be the detail, and if we we can go back and forth using 3 different subdivisions. If we are about to insert the stones on the surface, that means that it's not going to be possible to make it with subdivision levels. And my personal preference, instead of freeze them, you have here the freeze button. I prefer to make a copy, keep the original with its original subdivision level, which should be maybe this one, right? And the copy, no, this is not the copy, no, maybe I made a copy from the wrong one. Let's delete this one. It should be this one. So let's make a copy, and then this one, this is gonna be here. Maybe we can get rid of this. We can get rid of this, and now we can remove the subdivision levels. Maybe it's not gonna be necessary to keep the highest subdivision. We go to the third. Okay, let's delete higher and delete lower. So just for better performance of ZBrush when we are moving and we are handling less polygons. So let's start thinking about the stone setting. For the stone setting, you have been following my previous streamings. I have made this custom brush which I'm able to apply the room or the necessary cavity for holding the stones. This is a custom brush I made. So the first step to take is to start thinking about the necessary stone settings. We have 2 choices. If the client is giving to me the available stone sizes, no problem. I just set the different sizes based on my client information. Or like we are now, it's our design. We are about to make our custom design, just for not having too many problems, and we are looking for different stone sizes when we go to our supplier. Maybe the best idea is trying to get a regular or a standard stone sizes. Let's start with a 2mm stone. Maybe it's a big one, maybe it's too big, so let's go to a smaller one, 1.5mm. And this is nice for the head. Okay, once we decide the necessary stone size, let's tweak this graphic. You can control the depth of the insertion when you are using a insert brush like this. Let's go deeper like this, and now we can go something like this. Maybe it looks nice. Maybe let's go a little bit deeper. Okay, like this gonna be enough. So let's start thinking about the layout for the stones. Maybe we can put here one in the neck. So let's split max points. So we have the stone should be the cutter. This is regularly we call this piece where we are talking about dual repeat terms or language. This is a cutter when we are cutting the metal for placing the stones inside of a cavity. So this is the cutter. So while we apply the negative, we are creating a negative space for set the stone inside, for emboss or to put the stone inside. So as you can see here, maybe it's gonna be better if we go deeper. That means that we should go a little bit deeper. So once we have this, we can jump from 1.5 to 1.2 maybe, to start putting smaller stones like this. Okay, nice. So let's split mass points. I like to keep all of the different stone sizes in different subtools, just for making groups of stone sizes. Maybe we can put it here. Let's start setting the stones. Maybe stone setting is maybe it's a nightmare or it's boring and entertaining at the same time. Depends of Did you like it or not? Maybe because the only way, or for example, as far as I learned, the most effective way is to place them. If you are looking for a good layout like this one, where we can't follow symmetries or regular distribution like a row, columns, rows, and stuff like that, I think the best way is to start placing them, trial and error, placing them until getting the right distribution. So we can go from this, maybe we go from 1.2 to 1. We can start creating a more interesting pave. That's the French word that we use for, okay, or cover a surface with many stones. Nah, maybe 1.2 as before. Let's me point 1.2. Let's put one here in the middle, as closer as possible to the others. Let's go to this one. Let's put it closer as well, so we can jump them from 1.2 to 1, and now we can start putting another one here. Then the idea that I was explaining this at the beginning of at the first streaming, it's not for making a too complex jewelry piece. That means that we are not about to cover the whole surface with the stone, just putting a path of different stone, just for applying a color touch on the surface, because this is not going to be very big. You can see the surface we have here. This is a 2 millimeters, almost 3 millimeters. If you're having a ruler or a caliper that, like me, near of you, you can check how thick is this. And this is this little small surface. That means that just having small dots or stones of brightness, it's going to be enough. It's not going to be necessary to cover the whole thing with a very complicated pave. So this is what we are looking for. So that means that we have here, let's come back to the 1.2 millimeter, and let's start putting the stones like this. Maybe this should be like this, and we will go one by one. Probably you are thinking about why is he not creating a curve brush following the path, or following the curves of the body. The reason why is because I prefer to make it manually, just for having a better placement. Just personal preference. Sometimes you can use curve brushes, but when we're talking about the stone setting and we are talking about paves, I think we are putting a group of stones on the surface, I prefer to make them one by one. So let's go to the 1.5. Maybe of course it takes more time. Takes a bit more time. You can see the angle is important, the placement is important, the depth is important. That's the reason why I prefer to placing them one by one. And here we are looking for even that I'm looking for a not regular and boring path of a row of the same stones. We can play with different stone sizes like this. We can come back to the 1.2 again, just for start making some this kind of more non-regular forms like this. We can put this a little bit farther this one, we can put on the stone here, and we can, let's change to 1.5 now. So it's a matter of time. So, but for me it's fun. So you just start here, just putting the stone, repeating the same operation many times, but for getting a nice distribution, I think it, in my opinion, is the only way. Like when you are making things manually or traditionally, not with the help of a computer. So the masters of the jewelers makes this, the stone setters make this also one by one, and it's a matter of time. Probably we can go to 1 millimeter, and we can put here a stone of 1 millimeter. This. And we can put another one here, because we're trying to mimic or this kind of scales pattern that you can find on nature when we're talking about the snakes, with such kind of random distribution of camouflage, or I don't know how to say it, random skin tones and things like that. So that's the reason why I decided to not use a boring or not interesting row of stones. So let's put this here. So we can put this, of course we can save time not being crazy making the pattern too complicated, but for example like this with the 3 in a row stones of the same size. Oh, I forgot to, I made it, maybe put it closer. Let's go back to the 1.2, but once you get used to placing the stones, it's not going to be a big issue. I mean it's not going to be a big amount of time, so you can be, you will be faster and faster once you make it more than 2 times. Like this. Let's go back to 1.2. Okay, no comments. Everybody now, today it's very quiet. So, hope it's been interesting for you. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will find all of my previous ZBrush lives, streamings, gathering in one place under the name ZBrush Lives Streamings. So just in case you are interested on how to make jewelry designs with ZBrush, I was making many different designs like rings, more pendants, brooches, reliefs, for example, for coins and stuff like that. I think this is I started making lives, I think 1 year ago or maybe 2 years ago, I don't know, but time ago. So times fly. So let's go. You can see I am going from 1.5 to 1, so I'm using 1.2 millimeter stones also. Maybe this one's gonna be necessary to move it. I will push it this a little bit to hit this. Okay, let's go to the one. No, maybe going here. Now we have a 1 here. Okay, perfect. So let's go to the 1.5 again. And let's go to, and here we have a very small, let me check. I forgot to check how it looks like with the flowers and with the branch. This is the branch, this is the flowers. Yeah, I get, okay. I think this looks okay. It's looking good. It's not necessary to keep them visible. So just for start simplifying things, let's start putting 4 in a row here. Let's change now 1.2. You and you. 1 more here, 1 more here. And that one is not important because it's not facing to the front. No, I think we will put 1 millimeter there. Let's put it there, 1 millimeter. Let's come back to 1.5 again. 1.5. Let's go here. No, it's not a good idea. So let's put it here. This, let's go another one here. Let's put them closer. Let's put it here. Keep in mind that this is going to be a brooch, so it's going to be weird on the chest. So the most important thing is going to be the front view. Of course, we should be worried about the other views, but they're not going to be so important. So I mean that the brightness of the stone is going to be facing to the front of the design. So that means that if we don't put the stone here on the sides, it's not going to be a big issue in terms of design. So let's go here. Let's go here. And then let's go to 1. Another one there, another one there. And this one should be closer. Okay, comments. I like to read your comments because it's boring to be here just working like I'm alone. I prefer to talk with you, so I prefer to leave your comments. Nacho, have you ever tried using eye members that has both the cutter? Yes, but it is not a good idea. I have tried many things. When we are talking about the stones, I have been trying adding the cutter and the prongs together, the cutter and the stones together, but I found that this is the best way, because you can see here, I will show you now the reason why I'm not using the stones together with the cutter. It's gonna be one thing I will show you after. So I can say that I am putting the hem together with the cutter, but now you are not watching the hem because it's not there yet, but it's gonna be on the next step. This is the key or the trick of this process that I made making this custom brush. It's much better. I think my opinion is my personal idea. I will show you how to place the stones, all of them together with exactly the necessary size for each cutter. I will show you later. Affected. Have you ever tried using a mirror that both the color? That's are you going to make a setting rail for the center? What do you mean a setting a rail? No, in this case, not. I know what you mean. In this case, no, because okay, this is not going to be. I'm not going to try to mimic exactly what I do on another streamings when we are making a rail and we put the stone inside of the rail and a negative cavity. In this case, as we are creating such a small piece, this is very thin, I'm gonna just put the stones on the surface. So I will put the prongs directly on the top of the surface. I'm not going to make any rail in this case. If we need to make a rail, we should being thinking about that before start putting the stones, before making the rail, then put the stones, and then following with the process. But in this case, well, the main reason is because the design, I'm not going to make a rail. Harsh, hey Nacho, greetings. I got Harsh. Welcome. Can you tell me I can sculpt wrinkles and creases in a paperback? I'm trying to make a tackle belt paperback. I want it to look crumpled. Yeah, I will show you maybe one trick. Let me save this. Bridge number 4. Crumple. Look crumple. Okay. For example, if we go to a cube, it's a very stupid, silly trick, maybe not very fancy and not very spectacular, but I hope it helps. So I'm gonna try to modify to make it the profile of a bag. So here we have let's make a polymesh. Let's groups by normals. Let's hide the cap. So let's delete hidden. Let's turn on double, and let's, for example, we can go to the zero measure. Let's create the same amount mesh with polygon with the same amount. Keep the groups, don't apply again, smooth to the groups, and give me quads. So this way, like this. And now let's crease polygons, and let's start crease polygroups. I'm sorry, and let's start subdivide, divide, divide without any thickness, right? Divide. One more time, 1.5 million. So in this case, this is not going to be a big issue. Maybe we can use the clip curve. We can clip this like this, and now we can this with a necessary the mesh is composite. Okay, I need to use this. Here we have a necessary smoothness of the surface. Okay, you can use any brush. I will try to create for you a custom brush, because you can see here on my group of favorite brushes, I have this very well-known pack of brushes from SK brushes. Yeah, here I have my SK Slash, SK Cloth. Probably you know that they come from well-known Japanese artist called Sakaki Kaoru. I don't know if it's the pronunciation, my Japanese pronunciation is good enough, but this is a pack of brushes, very easy to find, and I love some of them, and they are included on my pack of favorite brushes. One of them is the SK Slash, is this one, where you can, just in case you haven't got this pack of brushes, we can start from the standard brush. You can go to the alphas, you select the alpha 39, you will get this. You can see you're still noticing this kind of dots pattern. You go to the lazy mouse, you go from the default 0.25 to 0.1, so you will get better resolution. Maybe you can get 0.01, so you will get smoother transition. And now let's reduce the intensity, maybe 12. It's gonna be maybe 12, maybe less, 9. Okay, like this is gonna be enough. And then the trick is change your focal shift to -100, and then you will get this kind of maybe, I don't know why I was trying to replicate. No, okay, maybe put this acute curve. No, acute curve, no. I don't know why, for example, if I'm still trying to investigate the why, because when I try to mimic or replicate the same brush with the standard brush, I was talking about the SKS last. If I grab this one and use the same alpha 39 with the focal shift, I get this. You can see the difference. And with the standard brush, I'm not getting exactly the same thing. Well, almost exactly the same thing. Yeah, we can almost. Okay, but the trick is just change your focal shift, and with this you will get this kind of more harsher face looking strokes, just changing your focal shift. And let me see, let me try to make something so we can start making C's like this. Maybe this way, maybe this way. Not with bigger brush stroke, with a smaller, bigger to smaller. So let's positive, negative, positive, negative. You get happy. You can see you have been making like dent surface like this. Let's make it one bigger, probably like this one. Maybe we can enhance something like this. So when you have this, you can see here I'm using a group of different smooth brushes. The default is smooth brush, of course. If you start smoothing the surface, you will get this, but things will become more curved and relaxed, and we are looking for more crumpled, that you said before, and it's better to use the smooth valleys. So applying the smooth valleys, so you will get this kind of, so because you are also only smoothing the cavities, so, and you will get the sharp corners on the top, and then you will start creating this kind of paper bag. Let me make another try here on the back with a bigger strokes. Keep in mind, is making Z's. When I'm saying making Z's, like this kind of pattern, right? So you are not making curves, so just making straight strokes with this kind of combination of the strokes. This is, I think in your example, it's the proper way. So you can make a bigger stroke here. And if you want to make a straight stroke, you know, you're gonna start putting this negative with the shift key. You can this from this point to this point, then smaller from this point to this point, and you will get something like this. And the same thing as before, smooth valleys, and you will get something like this, and you will get this kind of strokes looking on the. Does it look like for what you're looking for? Do you like it, or maybe you are looking for a completely different thing? Let me see. This is a very simple way of working, just for simple brush settings. Standard alpha 39 focal shift -100 strokes, and combine it with the smooth valleys. How I can make hammer texture on a ring. I tried bottom noise, but not good results. I want them sharp and flat. What do you mean sharp and flat? Well, depends. For example, if you are looking for a Voronoi, I think, in my opinion, the Voronoi noise option is the best option for the hammered texture. But you are looking for sharp and flat, what do you mean? For example, if I grab a ring 3D, let's make a polymesh, let's subdivide it. Let's make a let's make a mask of the inside. No, more precise. Like this inside, send it to the center. Yeah, something like this. Let's go to the highest subdivision. Let's you are looking for a Voronoi texture or hammered texture. You go surface, noise plug, Voronoi. My personal settings are go from white to black, remove the mixed space and noise, and how you can see here we're watching the Voronoi. You go to OK. Before start making any extrusion or deformation, remember to store your morph target, then apply the noise through a mask, or convert the noise into a mask by noise. And now you can inflate, you can invert the mask, or depending on the direction you want to take. In this case, the right settings, you can see here the problem we are having. This is better. It's a better option to apply something like this, and this kind of hammered. If you want to apply only the hammered surface on the external face, you can apply a mask here on the border of the ring, blur the mask, and now grab the morph target brush and remove the internal. Let's fade a little bit, blur the mask a little bit. Okay, yeah, it's a quick option. Of course, it's not perfect. The application of the surface, we should be worried more about the transition between flat and the texture surface. But this is the thing that you are looking for, or the thing, maybe the issue that you are saying is when you are applying when you're making a Voronoi, the texture is something like this. So, and then you are looking for more something like this. Harsh. Maybe instead of concave tails like this, you can see it has kind of concavity, or the gaps are concave. You are looking for more faceted, like this, with a flat surface. Maybe you are looking for this kind of, and you are looking for this and not this. This is what I understand about your problem. And if so, if that is your problem, the only way that you can do this, because the Voronoi is having this kind of concave, it's like when you are beating the stone with a hammer, and the hammer has this kind of head, so you are hitting the surface. That's the reason why you are getting a concave surface. But if you are looking for to hit the surface with this face for getting a flat surface, in my experience, you need to work more. Let's make a duplicate just for having the two examples. Let's come back from history like this. No, come back one more. No, more. Like this. You are here. My opinion, let's subdivide it one more. It's the only way. It's to start using it, making it one by one. Brush, H polish brush. You're gonna start hitting the surface. Even if you apply more focal shift, you will get flatter surfaces, and then you can start breaking the cells. Just it will take more time, because you would need to making it one by one with a nice distribution. With this process, you can decide how big you want the texture, depending on your brush size. If you are making a bigger brush size, you will apply more. Of course, you are making the ring thinner because you are beating the surface with a bigger tool, but I think in my opinion is the only way. This one, making it manually, because the Borneo has this kind of concave, and the only, because where we are talking about an alpha, we are talking about mask, we are talking about grayscale. So, and with grayscale we will need this kind of option, when here we have whites and here we have blacks. So it's not possible to get this kind of flat surface. Probably you can cast, or you can achieve this positive extrusion with a brighter gray, even with white, but when the things becomes flat, is not possible to differentiate between different gray values, so it's not possible to achieve, as far as I know. As far as I've been practicing this, when I need to mimic this kind of texture with a flat hammered surface, the best way is to start sculpting the surface by hand with the ZBrush. Of course, you can making it even more complex, not complex, but with more work, to start using the clip brush. You're gonna start clipping the surface, making things like this. So you will get even more perfect flat surfaces with this, like a brush. This is the with a clip brush. This is with the brush, but also you can do this one extra trick that I can give you. When you have all of this made, you can go to clay polish, apply clay polish. You can see almost nothing happens, but a tiny little mask has been applied. You can invert the mask, and you can now expand and you will get this kind of imperfections on the ridges. Before we remove the mask, we can polish by feature a little bit, and then you will get this kind of contours following each hammered surface, and then you will get this kind of, you can apply one polish by feature. A polish by feature maybe is too aggressive, and then you will get this kind of, and here you can see here the differences between, okay, maybe it's gonna be better if we change the material. Not this one. Yeah, maybe this one. And this is the version number 2, and this is the version number 1. A completely different thing. Maybe this one is more organical because the gaps are convex. Concave is the opposite, convex, and the number 1, this is on my left. You looks like more, it's when you are beating harder surface, in this case metal. When you are beating softer material, you get this kind of convex form. Hey, you are welcome, Bill. Glad you like it. And one more, can I make brushed texture on wooden lines, texture on a pendant? Yes, wooden lines, like a texture, you can remember that you can, let's make another copy here. We'll Control N, Control, let's come back from history. No, here we are. Don't forget to use this, maybe we can use this material. You can go into noise plug, wood. Okay, from white to black. I don't want the basic noise. And now the good thing about using the noise plug library here is that we can start using the angle like this till getting it. Sometimes it's difficult. In this case, it's gonna be better if we make first the UV mapping, because it's gonna be easier to apply completely flat surface, maybe, because when we are making circular or spherical forms, it's very complicated to. Okay, let's make it UVs. So if I apply, I'm gonna split the internal face to the external face, just applying a mask, and Control W just for having two different polygroups. Now going to UV map, UV master, work on clone, and grab UV polygroups active. Very important. Let's flatten. Now you have here have the two different islands based on the different polygroups, and flatten. Let's copy the UVs. Let's go to the original. It's this one. Let's paste the UVs. Let's go now to the. Let's come back to the UV, to the noise. Let's get into the noise plug again. Wood. Let's go from white to black. Let's remove the base and noise. Now change from 3D to UV. Let's make it smaller. Let's start changing the angle like this. Make the angle. No, this should be 90 degrees. No, 180 degrees. This should be 90 degrees, and you can go as far as you want. Also, inside of the plugin, you can get into the edit mode, and here you can start working with the. You can see it to applying more waviness to the. And you can apply with the frequency. You can, if you are looking for more straight lines, you can see you can just make it like this. And when you have here, of course, it's going to be a pendant, right? So you can hide the seam on the back. So this is the face that we want to see. Now place mask by noise, and now you're gonna start this kind of brushed surface. And the interesting thing about this is that they are not, the brushed surface has this kind of jagged surface. Instead of cavities, something like this, we have this. And this is, you will have more success on the casting with this kind of texture instead of this one. Because with this one, once you start polishing the surface, the lines will be getting lost during the polishing process. But with this one, you can start polishing just the peaks, but you will get the ridges or the lines there. It's still there on the metal. So this is a good option for making good texture, for having this kind of irregularities on the surface instead of this on the surface. Okay, one more. You are glad to hear that. One more thing, we will use stream with rendering process. Probably not, because you know that my rendering software is KeyShot, and ZBrush uses completely different rendering engine, is Red Giant, and my experience about rendering is based on KeyShot. And when I am making live streamings with Maxon or with ZBrush, I prefer to don't be here rendering pieces with KeyShot. Yeah, you have some rendering tips. You were referring to my lion pendant. Maybe you are talking about my. Let me see. You go to my link tree again, and you click on my YouTube channel, and then you scroll down. Maybe you are referring to this one. This is not a pendant. This is a relief, or maybe for a coin or for a medal or something. And here you will find some streamings I made a time ago, my personal streamings, when I was rendering different models, like the Sculpting, this one, or for example, this one I was advertising always. Come on. Joder. Like this, I was rendering, sending models from KeyShot, from ZBrush to KeyShot for rendering things. I was explaining how to set up the material of this ring, or The other example, you were talking about this one when I was making almost the same thing but with this lion. But this is just, they are just my personal streamings. Maybe in the future I will start making my own personal streamings, different than the regular maximum streaming I'm doing every month. Okay, let me see if I have missed any of your comments. Okay, I think everything has been answered. Okay, let's continue with the stones. Oh, we are almost there. So, where am I? Here, let's come back to the brush. Let's go to the number 1. Now let's 1.2. Just let's see if we have time. We are having time. Just for I will explain to you the process of applying the prongs. Let's go to 1.5 again. I've tried to keep separated the different brush, the different stone sizes, but at any point I start mixing them. So let's put the both subtools together. So merge and merge down. We can split them after if necessary. So it's not a big issue, but maybe I am putting too many stones. I'm gonna try to remove some. I am giving too much work to the stone setter. I think it's gonna be costly, expensive. And this, let's try to simplify it a bit. So like this. This. .2 again. But I think it's my idea, my personal preferences. You were asking before if it's not a good idea for inserting the cutter and the hem at the same time. In my opinion, I prefer to use my process. I prefer to being focused on placing the cutters, and once I am happy with all of them, the next step will be drag or put all the stones at once. But could be it is the idea. It should work, so it's not going to be. It's gonna be possible, so you can create your own custom insert brush, making it with the cutter and the stone both together. I have missed. Oh no, it's here. Oh, I forgot something. Let's come back. Remember that I have planned to make this movable there with a hinge, just for getting the end of the tip of the tail with a small hinge, which will allow us to keep the end of the tip with balance movement. So let's start working on this. So let's leave the necessary space there. We should think about this. I think in my future, my next streaming in July, I will start thinking about a different a different design. Probably today is gonna be the last day about this design. So the remaining work that I need to make till we call this done, I will try to making it in my free time. Okay, let's keep this. So this is the whole snake covered with the stone. We left here a strange blank space there. Let me try. I'm gonna get rid of this one, or maybe we can. No. Well, I think probably I need to remove also this one. And now we can come back to the 1.5. Okay, and I prepare this. Okay, so let's save it. Harsh. Also, can you tell me when will the enrollment open? I don't know. Probably some of you already know. For example, Harsh is talking about course I'm doing it in the Vertex school. If you go to my website, you know, it's nachoriesco.com. If you go to my courses section and you click here, you will get access to this, and you can click the join the wait list button. By I don't know, maybe after the summer I will try to talk with them if we will try to release a new edition of this course, or the idea that I have in mind today, I will try to make a new course with new exercises for the next one. So let's see what we do. But if we are talking about dates, probably after the summer, about October or November, around the end of the year, I will try to make a new course with them, with Vertex. But thanks for asking. I will keep you posted. If you are following me on Instagram or any other my personal sites, you will get the information once we have a date or an expectation of the future release of the new course. Well, I just found this Twitch stream. I make model for ceramic slip casting. It's very interesting in ceramic. Good texture and good carrying marks are what I'm working on right now. But are you applying your wood marks and carving to your ceramic models, or what? I guess, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I guess that you are sculpting the texture directly by hand on your model directly on clay, or are you using ZBrush are you using digital sculpting like ZBrush for making your models? Hey, you're welcome. Feels good. So let's start making the prongs because we have 30 minutes. And let's go to other of my custom brushes. In this case is my Pave grain. Here we have different options. Most of the time I use this one. Let's go to you can see by default it's set with a curve option active. I should go to the stroke, curve, and turn this off. So now I'm ready to start with dry rectangle. Start adding the prongs. 3D printed form for plastic molds. Then slip to cast. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting process. And then you are creating your models with ZBrush. I guess maybe I figure out that you are sculpting your models, sending them for 3D printing, and then you start making the molds and start the process of the ceramic manufacturing process. And wood carving marks what I'm working on right now. So the wood texture is very fun and very tricky to make depending on the kind of wood you're sculpting. I think the key is having a good reference, but automatical forms of making that kind of texture, like the surface noise I shown you before, but could work. Maybe it's a little bit stylized. Maybe you are looking for more realistic. It's gonna be better to sculpting the texture by hand, but it takes time. Sculpt wood textures. Yes, in models and with Maya and ZBrush, yeah. Perfect. Perfect. And are you looking for a realistic wood finishing or just for... I mean that when you are sculpting the wood texture, are you focusing on all of the ridges, following the different strokes, breaking parts, knots on the surface? Because sculpting such kind of texture takes a lot of time. Even I'm guessing that you are worried about the texture after the ceramic casting, because you will lost a lot of the sculpting you made on your model, because the ceramic liquid tends to follow to fill the gaps you were sculpting for the texture. So okay, now we have the brush already set, so we can now start playing with the depth as before. Like this could be a good number, and then we can set up the size. Let's start with 0.7 millimeter, like this. Maybe 0.6 is gonna be better. It's a good number for a prong. We are talking about prongs for a Pave. 0.6 millimeter, it's a good number. So maybe you can start from 0.6 to 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, depending on your stone sizes. But you are talking about the small hems or paves, 0.6, I think is the good number. So I split mass points. This one should be underneath of the stones here, like this. So we're gonna start putting choop, choop, boink. So the rule is always try to put at least 3 prongs for a stone minimum. If you can apply 4, will be better, but less than 3, not a good idea. You can have problems with falling. Just the stones can be fall if you are not if you are putting less than 3 stones. Yeah, 3 prongs, I'm sorry. 4 is the best. You can see as I am making here 4 prongs, and as we did before, from now till we decide it is finished, it's a matter of placing one, another one, another one, another one. Sometimes some of them are easy to place, another one you can see needs to be tweaked or needs to be replaced or change the orientation. But some, depending on the curves on the surface, we are putting the stone on a flat surface. We're having less problems. Of course, it's gonna be easier to place, but we start making organical forms as we make. It will becomes a little bit more difficult because the surface is not regular. It has a lot of curves on the surface, so the prongs and the hems needs to be adjusted based on the cavity. Let's apply one here, Another one here. Another one here. Maybe this one can be bigger. Maybe we can put 2 more. Yes, model art. Yes, the wood is realistic. Tiki. Oh yeah, very cool. I check for undercuts with mask by draft. Yes, mask by draft. And why? Yeah, the undercuts. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, you are saying that the undercuts for you it's a problem because the molds, right? So just for demolding the pieces properly. Yeah. Yeah. You should be worried about the undercuts when you are creating very deep textures. Okay. Are you sculpting the texture manually, or are you applying a kind of seamless or tailable good texture that you made by your own, or are you sculpting them by hand manually? I mean, the whole texture, or are you using the wood surface noise texture we were using before? Maybe it wasn't a good idea for putting the stone so close to the border back. Maybe you can see here, this is very handy option. Well, it is button auto groups. So ZBrush will apply a different polygroup to each prong. So it's going to be very easy to control tap and isolate. This prong is not going to be 100% necessary. So I will try to make it smaller. Just more, because we can put 2 different kind of prongs. The necessary prongs, of course, for holding the stone in place with a safe placement, and also, but we can apply decorative prongs, which they don't hold any stone, but they contribute, or it makes a kind of texture effect on the surface. That's the reason why I am creating this small prongs like this. This could be decorative, or this one can be decorative. This one also. It is not completely necessary because we already have many prongs holding that stone, but and also the prong will contribute, makes a kind of sparkling surface, because the surface is not going to be flat. It's going to have a kind of a grainy texture on the surface. So sometimes it's going to be necessary to apply more prongs than necessary just for decorative purposes. Like this. You can see it's fun to apply the prong. Fun and boring at the same time, depending on, because once you start being used to the process, I think it's a relaxing time placing prongs. Okay. 2 and 2. Maybe we can apply here a big one. My recent piece I used wood, surface nice, and the standard brush, yes. Then H polish and trim dynamic for tool marks. Yeah, I found a brush for dragging out large splits or cracks. Like yeah, mostly a lot of wicking, a lot of tweaking. Yeah, it took a lot of time. I can give you this. I will try to give you a new idea. Let me save this first, because when we are talking about wood, let me save this. Oh, oops, here. Okay, so I will, let me grab a cylinder. Let's make a polymesh. Let's subdivide it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, till getting 2 millions. So when the undercuts, you were saying, when you are carving, you're sculpting the surface, trying to mimic the wrinkles or the cavities of wood. A good brush is the SK/. Another very well-known brush is this one, BO. This is all cracks. This is comes by default with ZBrush, where you can start making stuff like this, crossing lines, or making lines like this, 1, 2, 3, till getting things like this. So you can start getting stuff like this. You can change your focal shift, combining different brush strokes, till getting this kind of. But when you are making this kind of strokes, as I was saying before, so you are doing something like this. You are having the surface, and you are carving on the surface, making this, combining different brush strokes. Some of them deeper, some of them deeper in size, some of them not. So something like this. But in terms of casting, when we are talking about 3D printing, doesn't matter if we are going to cast the piece in metal or, in your case, in ceramic. In my opinion, this kind of texture has cast much better when we are using the technique I was showing you before. Instead of cavities, we are creating steps. So we are creating stuff like this. So it's like we are having it here, we are having it here, we are having another here, we are having another here. So with this process, we are having less problems with the undercuts, because to remove or from deeper cavities is easier to remove the mold, to open the mold like this. When the cavities are very deep, we can have problems for, I don't know how to say this, when we are trying to open the mold with this. And for trying to follow this process, I recommend you this brush. It's a very well known, very old brush is this one. All of these last brushes I prefer to, because here you have an alpha, which is with the same form I was talking about before. This alpha, which is having this, when you have, this is the limit, and this is the limit between the black and white. So that means the alpha is giving to me this form. If I using with the default, I make this. If we are using with the alt brush, with the alt key, with the C sub, I'm doing the opposite. So here or here. So just for start making the necessary steps on the surface. My favorite settings are using this brush with a low intensity, and you start using combining the alt key, using the alt key, pressing the alt key, and pressing the alt keys, just for having this kind of very randomly. Maybe for me, the strokes, when you are making the stroke horizontally, it's easier. So you can see you are making a stroke from left to right and from right to left. That means that you are start to combining the different effects of the stairs. And this is very handy also for hair. Quick, something like this. Let me make it closer to the border. And here you can see, if I open the mesh, let's put the double option. Or you can see here, this is the with the undercuts, with the when you are pushing the geometry to the inside for making cavities, ridges. And here you can see the effect of stairs that going up, going down, going up, going down. You're getting the same, almost the same effect, but I prefer this kind of effect with when we are talking about wood. Now the wood is the trees, the wood grows layering forms. You are having a better effect using this brush instead of any of brush that you are using the carving on the surface. So I recommend to you, just this is my proposal, use this last brush, try this last brush instead of any of the carving brushes, existing carving brushes. Yeah, care brush. So you can start, for example, if you start on your branch, you start from bigger to a smaller. You go to with the scale with this last brush, like this, with a big brush size, one like this, just for making the following. Also, you can apply curves if you want. So I think the only thing that you have to do with this brush is try to make your strokes fast and as more continuous as possible, because if you try to make this, you can see what happens with the tracking of the alpha. You start getting this kind of issues with it doesn't work very well. You start making your strokes slowly, you will get this. So try to make your stroke fast. So once you have your main strokes, you can go from bigger to smaller, and you can start breaking the forms into 2 forms, 4, 5, and so on. So also you can start making knots like this, like this, like this. You can apply and then you will get this is a very well-known brush, but not many people is using it. I don't know why, but it's great for any kind of folds when you are sculpting cloths and when you are sculpting hair. It is very, very useful. With the hair, you can do almost with the same thing, but with of fur of an animal. When you are crossing many strokes at the same time, crossing with using different directions, you start getting this kind of fur effect. And also you can start, for example, going this, you're gonna start making this hair strands, making this kind of effect for making fur on a surface. So that's the reason why I have included this brush on my favorite brush pack, which I have on my custom interface. Let's come back to the snake. Okay, let's come back to this one, 0.6, and let's keep working it. Sometimes I need to make hair as well. Yeah, the hair is very, very, very useful, or hair also. Because it gives you the wavy forms that it gives you to the surface. I think it's more realistic than carving on the surface, because it's giving to you more different heights on the surface, so you are getting better results. What time is it? Okay, we are almost done, so I will try to work in my free time just for completing this design, just for making the final render and posting it on my website, on my Instagram, and so on. So that for don't be here too many times working on the same design as I said before. So just for trying to combine different. I used to be at least minimum three streamings for one design. I start always from zero, from scratch, and I try to go as far as I can during this 2 hours. We are talking about 3 streamings, so we are talking about 6 hours. I'm only putting 6 hours, maybe for final touches, for necessary, depending on the complexity of the design, maybe it's gonna be necessary probably 2 hours more, like this one. But for don't being here watching the same thing over and over again, because I have seen, if you are used to watch other streamers, they used to create only one different character or a different design every single streaming. I prefer to, because if we are creating jewelry designs, maybe only one streaming for one, maybe it's gonna be very too simple. But that's the reason why the rule that I have is I try to don't be more than when necessary, if possible. Don't be here at least for more than 3 streamings making the same design. If you have any suggestion about future possible streamings, you can leave them your suggestion of the comments, of the video comments, so will be great. So if I receive ideas or suggestions about possible future streamings, you are interested on rings or pendants or any specific style, just leave your comments on the video. I'm gonna start putting decorative prongs or decorative texture. For that, instead of using this shape, I'm gonna use the sphere. Maybe it's gonna be 0.6 as before. Maybe deeper. Like this. I'm gonna split this into a different subtotal. Maybe I'm gonna make it a smaller, 0.5. So decorative prongs. So we will get this kind of sparkling or kind of non-flat or regular texture on the surface. And also this will mimic a little bit the texture of maybe the brightness of the reflections of a snake skin. Also, we can use any of the decorative prongs as I'm doing now, just for adding more material for make this the prong setting a little bit safer. They are not going to be the main prongs, but we can an extra small of metal to keep the stone safer will be good. Also, you can use, if you are using the version 2024 or newer, 2025, you can use, instead of the drag rectangle, you can use the drag dot, and this thing works. You can see, but it doesn't work so well. You can see that makes a little bit of strange thing, so I prefer it. Let's come back to the basics like this. Okay, we are almost. Okay, probably all of you already know that you can rewatch the streaming when you want. You will find it on the Maxon ZBrush YouTube channel, and also, as I mentioned before, you can find it on my personal channel, YouTube channel, along with my previous streamings. Hope you like it. So maybe I will just one more thing, because we are 6 minutes over the time. So let me keep. Let's try to finish this, because I was saying before I will show you how to place the stone. I forgot it. So we can leave this as it is. I will show you how. Maybe I can. Let's leave this as it is. Let me save this. There's no problem of the intersecting the holes, right? Intersecting the holes. No, I made it. You are doing. Let me zoom in. I think you are referring to this. You can see we have the, well, we have the prong. So I'm sorry, I have the cutter, and we have the prongs are here, like this. So we have a little amount of intersecting surface here, right? Yeah, this is necessary. This is not only just for. This is not my personal preference. This is necessary for the stone setter, because when you are having, this is the surface. This is the cavity of the stone, and you will place the stone here, right? You will place one single stone, of course, something like this, on each. And here we have the prongs, and the prongs should be here. So that's the reason why the prongs are intersecting. This is because when you are putting the stone, not the stone setter is not just putting the stone inside, but he uses a tool like this, a grinding tool like this, like a little small disc, dented disc like this, just for biting on a small amount of material here, just for hold the stone safer inside of the surface. And then what it does after is he pushes this little amount of material against the stone, just for bend this little amount of material over the stone, just for making the placement safer. That's the reason why the prongs needs to be placed a little bit inside of the cutter. You don't, if you are doing this way, this is wrong, and you are doing this way, this is wrong. Always they should be a little bit inside, intersecting the negative space for the stone, just for having a little amount of material here, or getting a safer placement for the stones. Just a small amount. Okay, let's go. I will show you how to get, because what the idea is for putting green in stones. So place the stones. Yeah, let's go for it. So this is all of the cutters. You can see here my custom brush has the cutter itself shape, and it has a little template on top of each one. You can see this little square that we have here are placed on each cutter. So now we go to split. We should split the cutter, the shape, from the template, from the square. We go to split to similar part. This is going to be very important. Don't select the split to part, so split to similar part. So ZBrush will recognize the template from the cutter. So split to similar parts. Okay, and there you go. Here we have the template. Here we have the cutter. So let's open a hem cut, diamond hem cut here. I have. And now let's come back to the here. So we go to the template. There's all these little floating squares we have here are the templates. Let's change from negative to positive. We have now each single template are placed exactly in the middle of each cutter, right? So now it's time to go to the Z modeler, being placed in the center of the template, spacebar. We want to insert Dynamesh to all polygons. Which Dynamesh? Pressing the M, diamond that we already loaded. So now we can drag, and we have a little stone inside, in the middle of each template. Now it's time to go to the Dynamesh settings. Now we can start changing. Let's change the material for this. We can use, no, this is maybe it's too bright. This one with a gray color, a green color, with a kind of an emerald tone, something like this. RGB fill. So let's come back to like this. Okay, that's better, the material. So when we have this, now it's time, as we have been placing different stone sizes, it's necessary to change from proportional to fit. So the stone will fit each stone hole fit, and now we can make it smaller, make it bigger, sorry. And now start playing with the depth. So with the offset till put in there. Keep in mind that we only need the stones just for rendering purposes, right? So I mean that the precision of the size of the stone is not 100% necessary. So we are just putting a mesh there for being rendered with hem material. So we are, maybe the size now is 1.36683. Maybe we put 1.4, 1.6, no, 1.5. That means we are placing the stones. Now the depth, you can see they are a little bit, should be, they are minus 0.67. If we put minus 0.7, minus 0.8, minus 0.75. There you go. This is going to be probably the right fitting, and that's it. So now next step to take it, maybe 0.7 is going to be the better. Minus 0.7, maybe minus 0.72. 73. Minus 0.73, yeah, something like this. So once we are happy with the placement and with the size, now it's time to convert, because here this is an enamel, so if we turn this off, everything disappears. So we should convert the enamels into real polygons. Clicking on this button, convert BPR. BPR is that we are rendering the nanomesh, so we are converting our rendering mesh into a real geometry. Convert BPR to geo. There you go. So the nanomesh setting disappears because now we are working with real polygons. And now we should come back to the split, to similar part options. And now we can hide the templates. And now we have all of the stones placed with the right exact hole size. Now it's time to change the material as we did before. Now it's time like this. Maybe this. Oh, maybe the glass, this one. Okay, so RGB build object. So we can come back to the, and now we have this. This is going to be the idea. So the idea is to cast the snake in silver or white gold, depending on the money, of course. So we can start rendering this with gray color, maybe with this one. Maybe this one is too bright. Maybe this one. Just for checking the effect that we are getting on the surface. Of course, it's not 100% finished, but this is silver. This is maybe this. This is the effect that we are looking for. Okay, and we are done. So let's save this. That's the reason why I didn't merge or didn't combine the cutter with the stone, because I made the process into two different steps. I used Dynamesh placement for all of the stones at the same time. So, and with the Dynamesh I have a lot of control about the depth of the stones, about the size of the stones, even about the rotation. I have many settings available on the Dynamesh settings. That's the reason why I prefer to, instead of combine the cutter with the hem, I prefer to combine the cutter with the template, and then I apply the hem with the templates using Dynamesh. Hey, glad you like it. Hey, thank you, Ratans too. And this is the finishing. Okay, not the finished piece, okay, because it still needs to have some more work, but we can go to the flowers and we can come back to the, and this is the, let's change the material of this stone. Let's come back to the glass material. Fill object. Fill up. Oops. Switch color. Fill object. No, not the whole thing. Just you. Like this. And this is what the effect that we are looking for. This is kind of a sparkling surface on the snake, on the body of the snake. Maybe white, yellow gold for the flowers and for the branch. Maybe the branch could be oxidized for getting a darker color. And for the snake, maybe we go to material. Let's make a duplicate. Copy material. Paste material. Copy. paste, and we change the modifiers. Let's change the color. Let's forgetting monochromatic, like this. We can build in build object. Just forgetting this with the combine it with this should be also with this material. Build object and build object. Again, this is the main idea, just for having a white, yellow, and green. This is it. Okay, so we are done. Now it's time for making some renders, and that's it. Okay, let's modify the zeros angle. Okay, so thank you very much for being here watching this streaming. I will be here next month, July, more or less middle of July. Hope you like to sculpt jewelry with ZBrush, or maybe always we are talking about jewelry, but we can call product design, or because jewelry is a product. We are talking about sculpting something, printing something, and casting something. So it doesn't matter if we are talking about jewelry and we are talking about a completely different product. So I will be here talking about it next month. So thank you very much. So hanging out with me, and really appreciate your support, your comments on the chat, and more next month. And your cutter is not available. You can create your own. You can see, you have seen it's very simple to create your own. There's a line where you can send the ZBrush chip and then get the final product as appended, ship it to you. Shapeways, there are many places when you can print. I don't know if it still exists. Let me see. Shapeways, this one. You can check this place. You can upload your files and you can select your material, and they will print it for you and they will cast it for you if you are looking for a completely finished jewelry piece. If you are looking for just a resin piece, you can request just print the file on resin. There are available many different materials. Just check it out. This file, I think this is the old name is Shapeways. Now it's 3ds Pro, and there are another, or maybe this one, Shapeways. Yeah, the same concept. You can get a quote, load in your file, and you can select your. They have many different options, many different materials, metal, resin, ceramic also, and this is the only name that I remember now, Shapeways, but I think there are others available on the net that offers the same services. Hey Cassie, ciao, thank you very much for being here. We'll try to cut your stream now. That will be cool. I will wait you. All I want is like to make historic accurate design. Yeah, the accuracy is important. Thank you. Small resin printers are not that expensive. Yeah, today there are many cheap small printers which are able to create very high quality printings. And thanks to all of you. So take care, everybody. See you next month. So bye.